recorded live at 4ZZZ Studios, Meanjin, Brisbane.
On 102.1 FM.
And broadcast across Australia on the Community Radio Network.
You're listening to Zed Games.
Zed Games brings you the best in gaming news, reviews, community and culture. Want to reach out?
Share your hot take?
Or do you just want to share your favourite game?
Find us on socials at Zed Games AU.
This is Zed Games. I'm your host Paul, and joining me tonight is my good friend Caroline.
Hello.
How's things in the world of Caroline?
Assignments!
Yay.
Yay! Going insane. Procrastinating by playing games that have been sitting in my Steam library for a stupid amount of time.
That's good.
Yeah.
I've been distracted by playing one game which I can't even review yet because it's still under embargo. But I've been negating other games I'm supposed to play for reviews. Oh well. Let us get into this exciting week with some exciting news. This week brought us by the one and only, well, there could be more than one, haven't checked, Zahra!
Clones.
Oh, that's... I just opened up the properties instead of hitting play.
Yeah, well done. GG.
This week in gaming news. Well, Concord didn't last long. Ryan Ellis, game director at Firewalk Studios, has released a blog post stating that feedback has been received loud and clear, and that your support and the passionate community that has grown around the game has meant the world to us. Concord, a first-person shooter that launched on 23rd of August, didn't have the most robust launch, pulling in only 697 concurrent players on Steam at its peak. Reviews towards the game were generally average, with nothing particularly glaring. It just didn't catch on. And now it won't have the chance, with sales ceasing as of the 6th of September, and full refunds will be offered to players over the coming weeks. It's implied that they're going to make some changes and explore options, including those that will better reach our players. But otherwise that makes it 2 weeks since it launched to it shutting down. But maybe more games could last longer. The National Film and Sound Archive of Australia has joined forces with the BFI National Archive in the UK and the Strong National Museum of Play in the US to put out the call for improved game preservation across the globe. A worldwide survey was held to formally discover and acknowledge that current measures are just not good enough due to a lack of established resources, difficulty accessing game material, and not enough collaboration between communities. Many gamers are familiar with the feeling of not being able to play an old favourite again due to it being impossible to obtain through ordinary means. And with an estimated 87% of classic video games deemed missing in a 2023 study, even piracy or emulators might not be an option. With the organisations teaming up, the NFSA wants to establish more structured collaboration between organisations, develop a framework so that games can be preserved legally and safely, as well as pushing for an understanding of how important this can be. For the last half century, video games have become not only a massive industry, but an art form connecting people around the world through play. It is vital that institutions work together globally to preserve the history of this revolutionary medium before it is lost, says John Paul C. Dyson, director of the International Centre for the History of Electronic Games. Goodbye, Itsuno. For now. Hideaki Itsuno, a senior developer at Capcom, has bid the company farewell at the end of August 2024. Dragon's Dogma being his dream game, it seems fitting for him to move on after releasing the sequel, although there might be an expansion on the way. He's not done with games though. From September, I will start developing a new game in a new environment. I hope to create fun, beautiful games that are memorable, or even more memorable than the ones I've created so far, he says. News nibbles. I didn't know where else to put this, but Bethesda removed a Doom mod due to complaints about its political tone. It's about the former UK Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher being resurrected in the 10th Circle of Hell, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Attendees for PAX Oz 2024 will be able to witness 2 unholy matrimony ceremonies. We are literally building a real cult of the Lamb temple for this, the studio, Massive Monster, said on socials. Console players of Stardew Valley will need to wait a little longer for update 1.6. Concerned Ape has acknowledged that it's taken a long time. There are reasons for this, but the bottom line is that it's just not out yet. People waiting for his next project, Haunted Chocolatier, will have to wait, as development won't continue until Stardew 1.6 is finalised. And now for some upcoming games. September 6 brings Ace Attorney Investigations Collection for the PC, Switch, PS4 and Xbox One, Astrobot for the PS5, NBA 2K25 for the PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox One and Xbox Series S and X, Perennial Order for the PC, PS5, Xbox Series S and X and iOS, Fitness Boxing featuring Hatsune Miku for the Switch, El Paso Elsewhere for the PS5, Age of Mythology Retold for the PC and Xbox Series S and X. September 9th will bring Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 for the PC, PS5 and Xbox. September 10 will bring Yars Rising for the PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox and Switch, and Towerborn for the PC, Xbox Series S and X. That's it this week in gaming news.
Thank you for that news, Zahra. Exciting week of releases coming up. I'm particularly excited for Astrobot!
Woo!
Yes.
That's robots that do turf, yeah?
No. Oh, they might. They do all sorts of things. All the Astrobot
Not
games have been
AstroTurf?
amazing so far. And this is now the big one. They're taking on Mario. And so can they compete with Nintendo for the platforming king? Probably.
Maybe.
The
Who
games are
knows?
pretty amazing. Yep, and weirdly, I'll probably actually come back around on this because the big news is most definitely Concord with its entire 12 days of release. A game 8 years in development made of like a super team of like ex-Destiny. I think there's some ex-Blizzard people in there. Like it's a pretty hot team in there. Sony bought the studio outright. So I think it's estimated like 200 million or so in development costs. Its initial release it fizzled out pretty quick because they had a very big story trailer, and then the gameplay and it goes a 5v5 hero shooter, and everyone went, oh
Yeah.
but they were supposed to. They have like weekly planned story releases of like really high end developed cutscenes and everything. It's going to a weekly event. We were all going to be attached to it. We were going to love these characters, and then release under 700 players on Steam. The day they announced that they were unreleasing the game and refunding everyone's money, there was 26 concurrent players on Steam.
Oof.
It's so weird because it's not a badly made game. This isn't like some shonky thing got pushed out. It's a well-made game. Just nobody cared.
Yeah.
And also, kind of dying to our conversation before the show, a lot of people just didn't even know it existed or what it was.
Yep. This is like the first time I've heard of it.
Yep.
So
it's the
Good
ramifications
job
of
with
it might be huge, especially because where I was saying it come back around on Astrobot, Sony has pretty much put all of their eggs in these massive baskets. These huge AAA development, story base going on and everything. And even teams like the Acebo team that do the Astrobots, like they used to make small things. And now it's like, no, we got to do bigger games with you guys.
There's
You gotta
nothing
do that.
small anymore.
Or they got rid of all the Japan studios that did all their little like quirky games that PlayStation used to be known for.
Yeah.
So they don't have like a two-tiered thing anymore. It's like third parties and huge tent poles. And it must go down as like potentially the biggest development disaster in history. Like so much so that they released, couldn't get any couldn't even say, oh, maybe we can fix it. They're just like, no, we're out. I'm not going to be surprised if it gets retooled and comes back in some other form because there's a lot of work in there, including, do you know there's a TV show coming out?
No.
So I think it was a game at Opening Night Live. They showed off Secret Level, which is the new project by the company that made Love, Death and Robots for Netflix. So their new series of short films is Secret Level, and they're all based on video games. You've got your Mega Mans and everything, and one of the episodes is Concord, a game that no longer exists. But they were so in it, they're like, I assume there was a deal with like getting Sony IP for the other things, because I think there's a God of War episode and stuff like that. So it's just like, got them to make something based on your new IP that you were sure was everyone was going to love these characters, in order to get the other stuff in there. And it has not panned out. It'll be hilarious if that episode is amazing and everyone suddenly goes like, I wish we had more of these characters. I mean, crueler things have happened, but
yeah. So is the game playable at all now?
No.
So, tying back into, conservation and games.
Conservation. Yeah.
Hey.
I did on the morning of reading that it was unreleased. Go look at buying a physical copy, which I said, Paul, you don't even want to play these games. You don't like multiplayer stuff like that anymore. You're not interested at all.
It'll be a collector's edition. One day you'll have a little artifact of history.
So I think it was a 2K NBA game that got sent to stores and then cancelled. That's a nice one to own. If you have that, it's a pretty one. I'm sure you can put it in Concord and like do the tutorials or something. And I wonder what's going to happen with all that planned like story cutscene releases that were going to happen weekly. No way of knowing which direction we are going.
Dig a hole in the desert and put it all in there, like E.T.
Well, in the digital world, we don't need that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's some physical, but anyway.
Bury the servers.
This is Zed Games. I'm your host, Paul, and joining me tonight is Caroline.
Hello.
Hello and welcome back.
Yes, welcome.
We're going to have some reviews tonight. And first up, we're going to listen to a review by me.
Yay.
Excited! You like words? Words like tribble. Hey! And clocks.
Ooh.
And Celador. And kneecap. I'm just saying words.
Do these have to do with the review, or they just?
They're not specifically to do with the review. This is just a word game. This is a game called Leximan. And when I say word game, I don't mean like a Wordle or a Connections or a Scrabble. I mean a sort of, we'll call it Undertale adjacent game. So this is some people describe it more as RPG. I don't really think it has any RPG in it. I think it's more of an adventure game with word puzzles. But those word puzzles are in the form primarily of fights with people. So that's where it gets it. And it's packed full of mini games. Get there. Okay. It's also a very funny, silly game, but it has a bit of heart in there too, and sort of the relationships we build with the characters are quite satisfying. Anyway, this game is by, I think 3 people are on the team. It's Knights of Borea. It's available on PC, and it's got an interesting art style. It's quite old school pixely, but all the characters are only black and white. The rest of the world's in color, so it's interestingly readable. And it also
is that a commentary on the duality of man.
No, I don't think so. I think it's just like, hey, this is a style, we can do it. And it by default has a really like large CRT sort of bulge filter to the graphics, and you can turn that down. And since a lot of the game is reading and using words, one of the basic accessibility things in there, you can use a easy to read font if you don't like the fancy scribe that they have there by default. So nice and easy and accessible. The game is you sort of turn up. Basically, we'll call it Hogwarts. That's not its actual thing, but it's like kids go there to learn magic.
Legally distinct.
But you have a special power. You're not like the other Leximancers there. You have a special tome that like spits out words, and you can reassemble them to make them into new things, and you're too powerful and you're crazy and we have to throw you in a hole, child. That's how I raise children anyway.
Yes, throw the children in the hole.
Yeah, so you growing up in this school, you eventually get thrown down in the learning dungeon or something, I think they call it. And you escape from there, and eventually the school is attacked, and sort of the adventure sort of kicks off from there. Humor-wise, humor is always hard to review. I found it quite charming in its silliness. So, as I was saying, when you're in a fight, they have chunks of words, and you can just make words out of those, which means there's really just only a couple of options. It's not a hard puzzle on the whole. So there's a golem that's down in the dungeon, and you need to get past them. And one of the I can put crumble. I'll make him crumble. Put it up there, cast the spell. And so an apple crumble falls on him. He thinks it's delicious. He really likes you. Thank you very much. And lets you go past. So it's that level of silliness.
Yeah.
Like you like a pun, you like a double entendre, sort of stuff like that.
Love me a pun.
Yeah.
Love me a double entendre.
We're not going too high concept with it, but it's also not like toilet humor. And yeah, it has quite a lot of little like word secrets around, because as you walk around the world, you can type. And you will get incantations in the game that you're like, okay, I can cast fire and I can just use that as a tool in the world now, which does mean it is best played with a keyboard. That said, I played it on my Steam Deck because it works fine there too. It's a bit slow because you have to use a cursor to move it around and type stuff, but also there isn't time pressure.
Okay,
Now, there
that's
are
good.
action-based mini-games, including Vampire Survivors, with words and people in it.
How does that work?
It works exactly like Vampire Survivors. It just comes up in the story.
Okay, sure.
So yeah, it's, and we're looking, about a 7-8 hour experience to play through it. So it's a small, concise package. I really love the style with that bulge, the CRT bulge, and they do a lot of work with the text. So it's often animated and jumping around, and it's also just constantly trying to have just little plays, changing your expectations of something, just because that's how you make a mild joke. So if you've ever seen Danger 5, or you've probably at least just seen the meme of the man reading Sensible Chuckle magazine.
Oh, yes.
This is how I feel about Leximan. I find it very satisfying on that level. It plays very easily. It's not challenging in the sense that you're most of the time, like, you can't die. You're just solving a puzzle. There are a few things where you have to beat a challenge, but those are on the less side and you just do it again, basically. It also sounds really good. It's got a great soundtrack. Just some funky chip tunes.
Ooh,
whoops. Some big whoops. Yeah. Overall, it's just a very satisfying small package. If you like sensible chuckles, get in there. You chuckling at small packages.
Yes, because I am a child and I'm sorry, but I can't help it.
It is available on Steam. It's about $20, but there's also a demo there if you want to check it out. See if the humor is up to you. The style, I really enjoyed it. It was a nice pass the time laying in bed late at night for a couple of nights.
Nice.
And that brings us to the end of me.
Wordplay.
Just a joke. I'm not actually gone or deceased. This is Zed Games. I'm your host,
Hello.
Paul, and joining me is my good friend Caroline.
Whoa.
And now we have another one of those reviews for us, this time brought by the one who isn't me.
Yes.
Jenna Paul.
Huzzah!
Roll up your balls.
Woo! Hey!
Tell us about your chili balls.
My chili balls. All right, we have. This game is A Good Snowman is Heart's Build. It was released on the 25th of February 2015, back in the ancient times.
Yeah, I did not, I knew it'd been a few years. I would have put it maybe 6 years ago or something like that. Oh, that's getting close to the decade now.
Ooh, yes, because of a certain corona event that made time mean nothing.
I mean, also
Probably.
middle-aged now.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was developed by Alan Hazelden and Benjamin Davis, published by Drachneck and Friends, and currently it's $21.95 on Steam, but I cannot remember how much I paid. I have a feeling I bought it on sale, played it for half an hour, and then didn't touch it for however long. But I've been trawling through my Steam library trying to play those games that, bought on sale, never touched, or touched briefly and then...
I could do that for 1,000 years.
Yes. Anyway, basically, it's a little puzzle game where you play as a weird creature who's building snowmen. There are little balls in this game world. You're in some sort of snowy garden, and there's little areas surrounded by hedge mazes, so you're constrained for each puzzle, so you have to work within the obstacles and use the 3 or perhaps even 6 or 9 snowballs, depending on how difficult the puzzle is, to make a certain number of snowmen.
Mm-hmm.
You roll up the snowballs. One roll gets you a medium snowball. 2 rolls gets you a large snowball. This is only if you're rolling through snow. If you're rolling on the grass or where you've, already rolled up the snow, nothing happens. So you have to get the 3 or more, snowballs the right size so you can stack them all up and make a snowman.
Yes. Soccerbund games, which is goes back to the game Soccerbund, where they're grid-based and originally about pushing crates, and we've had they are games I really enjoy until I really don't.
Yes.
Because like Steven's Sausage Roll, one of the classics of like break your brain ones. I got like 2 islands into that, and then I just deleted it from anything ever. I didn't want to see it again because they expected you to sort of plan 40 moves in advance. So I'm like, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. I can't cook these sausages.
I have a feeling that's what happened the first time around. Can't remember. But this time...
This is a bit friendlier.
Yeah. You can, do the thing of reversing one move at a time to, if you realize where you've biffed it, and correct it. Except I didn't realize that until I was nearly finished the game. So I was just starting the whole thing. It was very annoying. I don't know if they told me at the beginning of the game, but that's what happens when you come back to a game after a certain amount of time away. You just forget how to play it. And then there's no more tutorials. But I stumbled through it. I looked up some hints. I think I took about 4 hours altogether, 4 or 5 hours to go through it all with a little bit of cheating, but I don't care. I just wanted the game done.
Yeah,
but I had fun.
Well, I looked up its historic low because even though I'm a fan of the game, I do feel $20 would be a bit steep.
Yes.
Its historic low is $2. So
yeah, I might have bought it then. I'd say, it's a good game. Wait for a sale. There's a nice little after game bonus thing where you have to go into a dream world and combine the snowman somehow. And I'd recommend a game that I don't know if everyone involved worked on this, but A Monster's Expedition, which is only a few years old now. How many years is that? Still 4 years ago. So longer than I thought. Pretty modern.
A Monster's Expedition is a very similar sort of soccer game with a similar art style. You're a monster going on island to island, checking stuff out, but it's got maybe a bit more variety than A Good Snowman. I think I originally played through it on an iPad or something. It's pretty good. But good Soccerbund games.
Yeah.
Soccerbund!
Review a little bite.
That was the bond.
Eat the snow, don't eat the yellow snow.
Don't tell me what to do. A good snowman is hard to build.
Yep.
But
so
not
hard,
if you look up some of the solutions on Google.
Google or even just the Steam guides.
Oh, yeah. Steam guides can be good. Yeah. Okay, now we are going to listen to...
A weekly dose of science on 4ZZZ is now available as a podcast.
I learned that you can hear the difference between different water temperatures when they're poured. I'm going to pour one after the other into a different glass, and you have to tell me which one is which temperature. I've got a hot and a cold. Right, here's the first one. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm saying cold.
It sounds cool. Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Here's the second one. Well played.
Shut up.
Search No Idea 4ZZZ on your favourite podcasting app. That's spelled KNOW, like Kano Idea. It's a visual pun on an audio platform. I don't know why we did it.
This is Zed Games. I'm your host, Paul, and joining me is Caroline.
Hi.
And before we bid y'all adieu tonight, we have another review by me. Caroline is pooping. Well, hi. Yeah, we can do another game now. This game's called Dross. This is made by Australian team. I think they're Queensland, just a bit south of us, I think. And yes, it originally came out last year, but it has recently had a Switch port.
Ooh.
So I checked in with that. Dross is a game where you play two characters combined into one. A little black slime creature called Dross and a knight who goes to take down a big, great evil and quickly sort of gets crushed and killed. But he's not totally dead. And this little black creature crawls inside his suit of armor and helps keep him alive and brings him back to health. So
Body
these two,
horror, yay!
it's a bit cuter than that, but a little bit of body horror. So yeah, what we have now is more of a very light action exploration puzzle game. So you are given levels, and in those levels you have your knight. You run around, hit enemies with swords, break doors with swords, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, I need to jump. Knights can't jump. They're wearing heavy armor. So Dross will split from the body and start slobbing around. Obviously not very good at defending themselves. They're just a black blob, but they can jump and explore, and they can see things like the lines of like where a switch is connected to a door. They can see that underground, like the wiring or the medieval wiring, whatever it is, or the magic wiring, whatever, some kind of wiring or something else. Lining. I don't know. What do you want from me? Stop looking at me like that. Anyway,
I want to know the science behind it.
I don't think there's much goo science in this game. So basically, you separate characters. You can switch between them separately, but you need to get them back together. And there's a button that just teleports Dross back to. You don't always have to trudge your way back to get to the knight. So that's useful. Lots of like pulling levers, investigating. There's a bunch of collectibles on each stage.
Yeah, collectibles.
And there's a little bit of humor, nothing too great. But yeah, there's just a few nice things to find on each level. Probably where it falls down a little bit is that there's nothing in the game that particularly stood out. It is a very, as we say in the fans of The Simpsons, a cromulent game. Everything is solid, everything is good, but perhaps nothing majorly stands out to you. And about the only thing that did irk me a little bit, because it doesn't have those particular highs. It's not an amazing platformer. The puzzles aren't crazy challenging or anything. They just, work out the order and do it. That at the end of the level, you're judged on basically not taking any damage, or taking as little as possible, getting all the collectibles, and doing it under a time limit.
Oh, yay, time limit.
Which means you'll probably do the first two, you first go through, and then go, well, if I want that last little unlock divot, I just got to go and do the level in a boring way, because it's not hard to get the time limit. You just go to the end of the level that you already know how to do.
Yeah.
It's like, so it just niggles me at the end of every level where I'm like, I don't really want to do that level again. I'm just going to go through. Which, considering my son deleted my save game and I had to restart, was a slightly annoying. But hey, I got some 3s on those first levels. So it's a attractive game. It's sort of top down, 3D. It's nice character designs. It does look better on PC than Switch, which isn't shocking, but it still looks fine on Switch. It's a nice little time passer, but nothing that's really going to blow your socks away. But if you like a little slodgy goo boy and a little metal man, worse matches have been made.
Serviceable, if I can actually pronounce that word.
I have been described as serviceable many a time. Chubby dubby goo boys. Actually, I don't know if Dross is a boy.
Gender ambiguous.
Yeah.
Or even, do goos have genitals? Do they identify with
Caroline,
agenda?
this area is too dangerous to discuss. You can't have goo. We can't have this.
We can't talk about genitals?
I can't be trusted around goo. Anyway, video games. Hey. Are there any upcoming video game plans for you?
No, not really. Just play old stuff.
What else is on your pile of shame that's like tugging at you?
Oh, there's so many. Not as many as some people, I'm sure, but I think I've got like 200 games that I haven't.
Well, like this month's Humble Bundle recently came out, so that added another like 10 games to my list of things I'll never get to, as is tradition.
Mostly I just want to play more Stardew Valley and or Terraria.
I've actually got a few things coming up for review, which will be fun to talk about in a couple of weeks. Yes. Oh, gosh. But I've been getting into Helldivers 2, finally.
Oh,
yeah.
How long has that been since it came out?
Like February, I think. I mean, I bought it pretty early, but I didn't really start playing it. It's a very good video game. I'm not breaking anyone's mind by saying that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's wow. I just love the atmosphere of the planets. Like it just feels. You can sort of see battles in the distance, but like we were there on a real dawn. We were just like low light there, and it was dusty. So by the end, we literally could see nothing because it was just dust everywhere, and everyone else freaking out, go like, "Got to use your tools. This is just." It's making it actually possible to see, and that's a gameplay choice.
Dusty games, yeah.
Yeah, excellent atmospheric effects and everything. I just really, really enjoy it. And it's just fun with friends, because stuff always goes wrong, and it's always funny.
Yeah, making stuff go wrong is very fun.
That's our key to comedy. Okay, catch you all next week. Bye!
I could have gone on for longer, but
I would have let you, but too late now. Bye!
Thanks for listening to Zed Games. If you'd like to listen to more, you can find us on the Community Radio Plus app
Or find us on socials at ZED Games AU.
See you next time.